again, Year 3. Well, we're now up to chapter 23, and this is called Feeding Time. While the giants were being captured, a tremendous bustle and hustle was going on back home in England. Every earth digger and mechanical contrivance in the country had been mobilised to dig the colossal hole in which the 9 giants will be permanently imprisoned. 10,000 men and 10,000 machines worked ceaselessly through the night under powerful arc lights, and the massive task was completed only just in time. The hole itself was about twice the size of a football field and 500 feet deep. The walls were perpendicular, and engineers had calculated that there is no way a giant could escape once he was put in it. Even if all 9 giants were to stand on top of each other's shoulders, the topmost giant would still be some 50 feet from the top of the hole. The 9 giant carrying helicopters hovered over the massive pit. The giants, one by one, were lowered to the floor, but they were still trussed up, and now came to the tricky business of releasing them from their bonds. No one wanted to go down and do this, because the moment a giant was freed, he would be sure to turn on the wretched person who had freed him and gobble them up. As usual, the BFG had the answer. "I has told you before," he said. "Giants is never eating giants, so I is going down, and I shall untie them myself before you can say Jack Robinson." With thousands of fascinated spectators, including the Queen, peering down into the pit, the BFG was lowered on a rope. One by one he released the giants. They stood up, stretched their stiffened limbs, and started leaping about in fury. And that's the helicopter lowering them in the pits. "Why is they putting us down here in this grub sludging hole?" they shouted at the BFG. "Because you is guzzling human beings," the BFG answered. "I is always warning you not to do it, and you never is taking the titchiest bit of notice." "In that case," the flesh lump eater bellowed, "I think we is guzzling you instead." The BFG grabbed the dangling rope and was hoisted out of the pit just in time. The great bulging sack he had brought back with him from giant country lay at the top of the pit. "What's in there?" the Queen asked him. The BFG put an arm in the sack and pulled out a gigantic black and white striped object the size of a man. "Snoz cucumbers," he cried. "This is the repulsant snoz cucumber, Magister, and that is all we is giving to give these disgusting giants from now on." "May I taste it?" the Queen asked. "Don't, Magister, don't," cried the BFG. "It is tasting of trog's filth and pig scribble." With that he tossed the snoz cucumber down to the giants below. "That's your supper," he shouted. "Have a munch on that." He fished out more snoz cucumbers from the sack and threw them down. The giants bellowed and cursed. The BFG laughed. "It serves them right, left and centre," he said. "What will we feed them on when the snoz cucumbers are all used up?" the Queen asked. "They is never being used up, Magister," the BFG answered, smiling. "I is also bringing in this sack a whole bungle of snoz cucumber plants, which I is giving, with your permission, to the royal gardener to put in the soil. Then we is having an everlasting supply of this repulsant food to feed these thirst-bloodly giants on." "What a clever fellow you are," the Queen said. "You are not very well educated, but you are nobody's fool. I can see that." Well, that's the end of my reading of the book, and I hope you've really enjoyed it, Year 3. Bye!